at the call and always responded to us. And he is now running for the office of governor, right?
Yes.
Anna Putnam wants to be the governor. So he's vacating his office. And Mayor Jeff Porter from the city of Homestead wants that job. He is on the phone right now, and he wants to talk to us about what he would like to do once he gets that office. Do you know, Florida is, I'm going to say this without knowing for sure, but I think the biggest industry in the state of Florida is agriculture, not tourism, as we all think, right? I think it is agriculture. Mayor Jeff Porter, good morning, sir. It's an honor to have you on the show.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for the invitation.
Oh, you're welcome. Where are you right now?
We're in Sebring this morning.
Oh, okay. And tell me about the campaign. What motivated you to want to take this position?
Well, you know, being born in Florida, being born in Homestead, actually, and over the years, I've just seen, you know, the ag industry really suffer. We're you know, in South Florida in particular, we're losing a lot of ag to, I guess basically it's competition. Foreign competition is driving a lot of the ag industry out. You know, we're dealing with a lot of pest and disease problems that are hurting, you know, in particular the agriculture industry, the avocado industry. You know, just across the state, you just see really ag under attack, and I know, you know, like you said, Mr. Putnam is termed out, and this is an open seat. And from my perspective, I just felt like, you know, I feel like I've put my time in as a local official, local mayor. I think I've done a really good job in South Florida and Homestead, and I want to continue to try to serve and stay involved. And I'm concerned that we're in a position where we could start losing more ag, and you know, Florida really feeds the country in the wintertime when they can't grow crops anywhere else. So I think it's now time to really kind of circle the wagons and find out what we can do, and put all of our effort in, you know, really protecting the industry, not only for the families and the workers, but for the rest of the country.
So in the little bit that you've told us already, and forgive me for not knowing much about our agriculture, but you just kind of educated me and everybody else who's in the same position I'm in. It seems like the two biggest threats to agriculture are natural and competition. And is the competition other states or other countries or both?
Well, it's more other countries at this point. I mean, we have, you know, there's been a lot of talk about the NAFTA effort to try to, you know, for competition with other countries and to have our exports go out. But the problem has been with NAFTA, the other countries have kind of been cheating and not really following the spirit of the law, and so they can dump fruit and vegetables in the country, and really, you know, because they're not regulated the same way that our industry is. They don't have to pay their workers a certain wage. They don't have to take care of their workers. They don't necessarily. They're allowed to use pretty much whatever kind of pesticides or whatever kind of fertilizers they need or want. Then they don't have basically the same costs involved. And so what they've been doing in the past is when our crops come on, they just dump more and more and more of their crops on, and it floods the market, the prices drop, and it really hurts our farmers. So I think, you know, overall the agreement works in a lot of instances, but for, you know, the deep south part of Florida, it's not really working out. And in our industry, in tomatoes, particular, they're really under stress, and we've gone from about 30,000 acres in deep South Florida to about 3,000 acres, and we may be losing that in the next few years. So that's one whole industry that could be gone.
Well, that wouldn't be good. Mayor Jeff Porter is our guest. He's running to be the next agriculture commissioner for the state of Florida. I wanted to ask you about the farm workers. Is there anything that needs to be improved with the conditions that they face?
Well, they've done a pretty good job. I mean, you know, unfortunately, there's a lot of pressure and fear right now in the farm working community with the debate and the discussion on how to deal with the undocumented workers. And one of the problems that we're seeing is the loss of the workers that are afraid, because they're afraid to actually show up and go to work for the fear that they may be deported. And that's a national problem, but that needs to be resolved. There needs to be some clarity for these people, because at the end of the day, we are totally reliant on their ability to do work and to continue to help us get these crops from the field into the grocery stores and on the tables, so that we can have fresh produce, and it's in every industry, the nursery industry,
right? I think.
Go ahead.
I think people in government have a better grasp of what the problem is. So forgive me if this sounds naive, but from the perspective of those of us who aren't in government, we're working as in the private sector. Like I work in radio, other people might be a firefighter or a car wash guy or whatever. But everybody else sort of says this one simple thing. If we need undocumented workers, and the word undocumented means they shouldn't be there in the first place, isn't there a way just to document them? I mean, that's the part I don't understand. How is it so hard just to simply document them?
Well, the only thing I think, I can't think for everyone, but it's been done before where they basically, the government legalized. I think what the problem is for a lot of people, I think, they need to really figure out a way to control the borders. The ones that are here, the people that have lived here, that are participating, that have jobs, that have families, you can't just go back 20 years and say, well, you're not here, you're not documented, you didn't get here by the correct manner. But they need to figure out a way. If they're gonna control the border. But then the ones that are here, they really need to figure out a way to do something.
Yeah,
they're here.
And that's the way I see it, too. That's why I thought maybe it was some kind of a glitch in the system that I don't quite understand. So it sounds like you've got a good handle on it. Do you have something that separates yourself from your opponents that you want to make sure you mention?
Well, the only thing that, from my point of view, the Ag Commissioner, it's a very important job. It has 18 different divisions. It runs multiple facets of a regulatory aspect of the state. It's not just about ag. It's concealed weapons. It's gas stations. It's telemarketing. It's consumer services. And I've been elected official for 15 years. I'm an executive in a government. I've run a government in Homestead. It's not. We're the fifth largest city in Miami-Dade County. Miami-Dade County is the second largest producer of agriculture products in the state. So I'm familiar with what we're doing here, but I think what separates me is the fact that, look, as mayor, I'm not trained to be a police officer, but I have to run a police department.
Right.
I'm not trained to run a water and sewer plant, but I have to run one.
Right.
So the same thing could be said about this Ag Commissioner deal. There's a lot of things that are in this department that no one person can be 100% trained to do. But as an executive, as a mayor, running a city, and being elected for 15 years, none of my none of my opponents on the Democrat side have even been elected to office. So, I think there's clearly a separation between myself and the Democrat field that would give me, I would think, the edge, because, I've been there and I've done that. Maybe the scale is larger, but the responsibility is the same.
Did your duties as mayor incorporate anything agricultural? Is there a big agricultural community in Homestead?
Inside the city limits, we have large fields of corn. A lot of the ag that used to be in our city limits has been gone. They closed up. We used to have large potato fields in our city, and now they're houses because the potato growers couldn't make money, didn't stay in the business. They sold their land to development. But the surrounding area, we have a lot of nurseries. We have obviously all the tomatoes, and we have green beans and squash, yellow squash, and green squash, and avocados and lychees, and it's a very, very diverse, type of crops that are grown there. Now, inside the city limits, no, but our economy is affected by the surrounding area. When the ag industry does well across the board, there's there's more money circulating through our system. So we're all joined at the hip. But as as an elected leader, inside the city limits, probably about 600 acres of corn, probably.
The one thing that Mr. Putnam did that was really good for this community and for the agriculture community of the whole Southeast, here in Ocala, we have a radio network that's actually the Southeast AgNet. So that's what they do. They broadcast agricultural news, and we are one of the affiliates, so I get to hear their stories. And I loved the fact that when there was, let's say, a hurricane or something else that disrupted agriculture, that the farmers, the local agriculture people needed a little bit of news on. I mean, he was right there. So I'm guessing that's going to be the same avenue you take, connecting with the different ag outlets like Southeast AgNet and other outlets like that.
Look, that's hugely important. Even what we do now in my city, the main thing you've got to do is you've got to stay connected with the public. And as you're making moves, as you're changing things, as you're moving things around, you've got to make sure that the public is aware of it and stays informed and buys into what you're doing. And so definitely, there's a connectivity that's got to be kept. And probably improved. So, look, I don't. We have our own television station. We do a lot of outreach to keep the community connected. And I think that's very, very important. I would certainly want to continue that. I would certainly want to expand that, especially in the area of the consumer services part of this. We find ourselves number one in fraud, and we've got to be able to do better than number one in fraud. And I think we need to really make an effort to
that part affects all of us, not just the agricultural community. Well, obviously the people of Homestead have had trust in you for 14 years now.
15 years. I've been mayor for the last 5.
Wow. Mayor Jeff Porter, it's an honor to have you on this show. Thank you. Good luck with everything you're doing. Do you have a website that we can go to so we can learn more about you?
It's www.porter4florida.com.
That's the number 4, right? Porter, the number 4?
Yes, number 4. Yes, sir.
Porter4florida.com. Well, Mayor Porter, if you're ever in Ocala, we'd love to see you in the studio here. It'd be awesome.
I'll do my best to make a trip back and visit with you.
Very good. All right. Thank you, sir. We will take a little break. We'll be right back.
Veterans Helping Veterans USA. Call 352-4